President Obama once again defending his strategy against ISIS, but in a wide-ranging interview, he does admit some criticism of his policies are legitimate, as the president says he understands why Americans are worried about the terror threat. But he puts some of the blame for that on the media. Listen.
The media is pursuing ratings. This is a legitimate news story. I think that it's up to the media to make a determination about how they want to cover things. Now, on our side, I think that there is a legitimate criticism of what I've been doing and our administration's been doing, in the sense that we haven't, on a regular basis, I think, described all the work that we've been doing for more than a year now to defeat ISIL.
Joining us now, our media panel, Alan Colmes, host of The Alan Colmes Show, nationally syndicated here on Fox News Radio, and Tammy Bruce, radio talk show host at TammyBruce.com, also a Fox News contributor. So, Alan, if I'm hearing that right, the problem is not the president's policies, it's just that the media are not explaining the president's policies.
No, the problem, he took responsibility for his own messaging. He actually said right there, we could do a much better job. There's legitimate criticism about us getting the message out about the successes we've been having in fighting ISIS.
All right, but he seemed to say, we're doing a great job against ISIS, it's just that we haven't done a good job.
He didn't say great job. What he said was that the media is out to get ratings. We know that to be true. Certainly works here.
Yeah.
When you get ratings, but not at the expense of Obama. However, here he is saying that he took personal responsibility for, the messaging that he needs to do to get out what's actually going on.
Is that how you heard it?
I heard it in that it's not exactly the way that I heard it, as you might imagine.
No.
This is, I know, shocker. This is the president doing the same thing, saying, and look, his people told him what he needs to say because they see the numbers going down. So he gets to that point saying, yes, this is partly my responsibility, but it's only because all of my critics are ignorant as to what it is that I've been doing.
I didn't hear that.
Well, that's what he was saying. So this mirrors, by the way, his complaint about the media in the New York Times, which was eventually erased, him saying that he didn't understand Paris and San Bernardino because he didn't watch enough cable television. Many have suggested that he was being facetious, that he was complaining about Fox News in particular actually presenting the truth of the matter to the American people, and that he's smarter than everyone else. He understands this is not a big deal, but everyone's being ginned up by the media. This mirrors that complaint. He said it again, and this is why Americans are so concerned about the future, because the president is still on another planet.
It is kind of interesting.
Another planet?
Another planet.
Really?
Not ours.
It is kind of interesting, Alan, that bit about him saying, in that interview that he didn't watch enough cable TV to understand how the whole country...
I think that was tongue-in-cheek.
Well,
they
scrubbed it from the
fairly
website.
tongue-in-cheek.
It was it was an interview where he told with columnists where they weren't supposed to quote him directly. They were to be stenographers. The Washington Post did what he wanted, and yet the New York Times attributed the comment to him, and that was their mistake.
If you're the president of the United States, you don't say things tongue-in-cheek. Remember when Ronald Reagan was testing the microphone and said, we begin bombing the Soviet Union in 5 minutes, and everybody in the media lambasted the guy.
Well, this president, will never do the right thing in the minds of certain people. Yeah. He can never say the right thing. He'll, when he didn't attack them, he was not whining about the media, and he should never attack the media because the media is going to win. The media is always going to go after him if he does. But that's not what he was doing here.
All right. One other eye-raising moment in the interview, he seemed to suggest that, I guess you would call it racism, has something to do with the way his policies are perceived or the way he as president is perceived. Listen to this, and then we'll get your reactions.
If you are referring to specific strains in the Republican Party that suggest that somehow I'm different, I'm Muslim, I'm disloyal to the country, etc., which unfortunately is pretty far out there and gets some traction in certain pockets of the Republican Party, and that have been articulated by some of their elected officials. What I'd say there is that that's probably pretty specific to me and who I am and my background, and that in some ways I may represent change that worries them.
Is it fair, Alan, to suggest that is he talking about racism?
Yes,
You tell me.
absolutely.
All right,
Talking
so is
about
it fair to
racism.
suggest
Yes.
that people are being racist?
All I know is that this is the only president about whom they've ever questioned his birth certificate, made him one of an other. He wasn't born here, not from here, spent time in Indonesia, wasn't really born here. And even when he produced 2 birth certificates, the second one, the leading Republican candidate now in the Republican Party still didn't accept that as proof that he was born in the United States. I've never heard of a white president having to defend whether he was an American or not. This is outrageous, and it still goes on in pockets of the Republican Party.
This is so 2008, isn't it? I'm shocked. It's like a time warp. Look, the president's biggest problem that he doesn't want to discuss is one thing everybody does agree with, is his malevolence and his malignant narcissism, and narcissistic in general. It has to be about him. His problem, though, is not what about a fringe might be saying. It's about what Barack Obama is doing, and more in particular, what he's not doing. That's what my column today addresses in the Washington Times. This bizarre set of rules that actually make it easier for America to get in trouble with terrorists, easier for terrorists to come here. It is an astounding dynamic. And now Americans, I think, have had enough and have heard enough. We know what the problem is, and it's his policies, and it's his attitude, and we've had it. And I think he just doesn't want to have to face that.
Is the overwhelmingly favorite Republican candidate who's a birther a fringe person, or is he really articulating the views of many people in the Republican Party at this
I think that this is an ancient argument. It's been rejected by everyone.
And don't have a birther as a leading candidate.
It is an ancient argument, and I think we're going to find out through this next year that Americans have had enough in general.
We'll see.
Yes, he won't be elected again.
Yeah.
Tammy Bruce, Alan Colmes. Thank you.